Good afternoon, everybody. I am Oscar Ngatia. As I had earlier on introduced myself, I had actually told everybody who has actually had a chance of viewing my videos that I am a trained teacher and at the same time a trained doctor. I am working as a doctor on part-time basis, and at the same time I'm helping students to be able to understand some concepts in mathematics, chemistry and physics. And on top of these three subjects, I am also helping students to be able to comprehend some concepts in biology as one of the best sciences in the whole world. We have discussed some concepts already for those who have had a chance of viewing my videos in the previous discussions we have had. And today we want to actually concentrate on one of the most important topics in biology, and this is reproduction. In Kenya here, for those who are outside this country, this is one of the main topics that students love to have in as far as their discussions in this subject is concerned. Reproduction in both animals and plants is not just a subject matter that is discussed in Kenya here, but it is also covered in other countries in as far as their curricula is concerned. We want today to discuss how reproduction takes place in both plants and animals. And to begin with, we are going to concentrate more on discussing how reproduction takes place in animals. And in our next lesson, we shall center our discussion on reproduction in plants. Students, we want to see what normally happens in as far as reproduction in animals is concerned. There are two main types of reproduction in as far as animals are concerned. The first type of reproduction is called sexual reproduction. The second type of reproduction is called asexual reproduction. There's one with an S at the beginning and one with an A at the beginning in as far as their pronunciation and writing is concerned. So, to begin with, what is reproduction? This is something you have already covered in as far as you are learning in Form 1 is concerned, or when you got introduced to this subject. You were told when you were looking at characteristics of living things that reproduction is the process whereby organisms give rise to young ones of the same kind. Organisms will give rise to offsprings. It means when I am a cow as an organism, I will not give birth to a dog. So organisms give rise to young ones of the same kind. So during sexual reproduction, in as far as animals are concerned, we are going to get interested in first understanding what are the ingredients that surround this whole process that will lead to giving rise to young ones, which are now the offsprings. A student needs first to understand that in sexual reproduction, it involves the male and the female. The male will be able to first have what we call a reproductive organ that can be able to give to the surrounding what we call the male gametes. The female at the same time will also be able to give rise to the female gametes. What you need to understand is that there are organs in both the male and female which actually produce the male and the female gametes. Those organs are generally referred to as gonads. In male, the gonads are the testes, T-E-S-T-E-S in plural, then T-E-S-T-I-S in singular, because spellings in biology is a very important aspect in as far as this subject is concerned. When you go to the female, the gonad is actually the ovary, singular, and ovaries plural. All these two, referred to as gonads, are the ones that produce both the male and the female gametes. The male gamete referred to as the sperms, and the female gamete referred to as the ovum if it is one egg, and the ova if there are many eggs, are very, very important in ensuring that sexual reproduction becomes successful. A student needs to understand that during fertilization, after the testis has actually facilitated the production of sperm cells and the ovary has facilitated the production of the ova or ovum if it is one egg, the sperm will be able to fuse with the ovum, and in that process the sperm produces 23 chromosomes. The egg from the female produces 23 chromosomes, such that when the 23 chromosomes from the sperm and the 23 chromosomes from the ovum come together and unite, they end up producing a single cell with 46 chromosomes, such that the offspring will end up having 46 chromosomes, 23 from the male and 23 from the female. During fertilization, the sperm cell and the egg cell both have a haploid number in as far as chromosomes are concerned. After the fusing or the coming together, the resultant cell, which is actually referred to as a zygote, will have what you call a diploid number, which means 23 chromosomes from the male and 23 chromosomes from the female coming together to give us a total of 46 chromosomes, always referred to as a diploid number. And scientists will always call this as 2n. Then the haploid number is always referred to as n. This means haploid number is actually half the diploid number in as far as chromosomes are concerned. So students, it is now very clear that for sexual reproduction to take place, we need first to have the male and the female. The two have what we call gonads or reproductive organs, which produce both the male gametes and the female gametes. After the male and the female gametes have been produced, on meeting, they end up fusing to give us a single cell called zygote, which actually has twice the number of chromosomes in as far as the male and the female gametes are concerned when related. Students, it is now of great importance that you are actually able to understand how the male and the female gametes are able to fuse to form a single cell called zygote, which actually ends up giving rise to an offspring of that organism in any environment. So it is now clear that when a student has been told to explain briefly what sexual reproduction is concerned, it is of great importance that you mention the male and the female organisms producing the male and female gametes in those reproductive organs called gonads, such that after the fusing, the sperm produces the male nucleus, the ovum produces the female nucleus. On the two nuclei meeting, they form a single nucleus, which has double the number of chromosomes in relation to the chromosomes in terms of number found in both the male and female gametes. In as far as sexual reproduction is concerned, students, you should be able to understand that sexual reproduction can actually be able to take place externally or internally. Under external reproduction or under external fertilization, this is a type of fertilization that takes place in both the amphibians and the fish, majorly. But take note of this. Biology is a wider subject. There are cases where some species of some fish and some species of some amphibians may not actually end up having what we call external fertilization. So we can actually use this phrase: most of the amphibians, or most of those organisms found under class Amphibia, and most of the species of the fish found under class Pisces will have this type of fertilization called external fertilization. Under external fertilization, we are going to discuss the following. Number one, which organisms will have this type of fertilization? Number two, where does this type of fertilization take place? And what are the striking features that make this type of fertilization to become so successful? Number one, I've said this type of fertilization majorly takes place in organisms under class Amphibia and in organisms under class Pisces, in as far as the fish are concerned. All these two classes are under a phylum of animals called phylum Chordata. It means they both have a backbone. They are vertebrates. So we are going to use an example of a frog to explain external fertilization in water. The thing that you are supposed to understand here is that in external fertilization, the female lays eggs in water or in a pond or in an environment where we have moisture. And after that one, the male will come and spread sperms on those eggs, such that fertilization will end up taking place outside the body of the female. That now qualifies to be called external fertilization. To just use this as an example, in frogs, we normally have the frogs having part of their life in water and having part of their life or stay outside the water or on land. So when frogs want to facilitate this process of fertilization, or when they want to reproduce, they will always actually migrate and go back to ponds or actually in different water bodies. When they are in the water, the male frogs will always croak, and as they croak, that sound will attract the female frogs. When the female frogs come closer to the male frogs, the male frog will mound the female frog, such that as the female frog lays the eggs, the male frog will spread the sperms on the eggs. What has happened? Fertilization has taken place externally. So, as the male spreads sperms on the eggs produced by the female, the eggs are not just coming out singly. What is happening here is that the eggs are actually accompanied by a jelly-like substance, a mucus-like substance, such that this jelly-like substance, this mucus-like substance will be able to be present in as far as the location of the eggs and the sperms are concerned. What are the functions of the jelly-like substance or the mucus-like substance present where the eggs and sperms are from these male and female frogs? The jelly-like substance will first protect the eggs such that the eggs are not damaged. Number two, the jelly-like substance prevents the eggs from being eaten by other animals in the water. The jelly-like substance is very, very important in ensuring that the eggs are separated from each other so that there is good aeration to just increase the lifespan of these eggs so that they can be able to hatch into young ones. What you need to understand is that this jelly-like substance, this mucus-like substance that gets spread on the eggs will also ensure that the eggs are attached on the water plants, such that as the water is moving, these eggs are not carried away The jelly-like substance also helps to ensure that the eggs remain buoyant on the surface of the water, such that the eggs do not sink. That is a very important aspect that a student needs to get introduced to in as far as external fertilization is concerned. My students, you are supposed to ensure that you have this idea of why this fertilization takes place in water and why you think that on top of what we have as eggs and sperms from the male frog, we have a gel-like substance that helps to protect these eggs and the sperms so that they are secured from any attack, from any damage, or from any destruction, so that they are safer, to ensure that they can be able to give rise to what we call the young ones of frogs. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any question, please feel free to actually contact me through the following numbers. We have 0710 194 311 or 0713 122 669. Feel free also to send any question to my email, which actually goes as follows: oscar.ngata@gmail.com. Those letters are written in a way that there is no capitalization. We use the lowercase in writing that Gmail. Thank you again so much. May God bless you so much. Please keep yourself safe wherever you are, so that you don't actually end up contracting the COVID-19 virus. God bless you so much. Let's always come together to ensure that biology becomes part of us, because it actually talks more about our life. And we thank God for this subject. May you have a nice evening. May you get blessed so much and so much. Bye bye, and let's meet in our next video.